Hey everybody, Brent Touchstone here. Welcome to Touchstone Pixels, where we talk about everything photography. Please hit that like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And today we're talking about making your images pop. Let's dive right on in. All right, I got two images here, and we're going to go in and show how we can make our subject matter pop. And there's a couple ways to do this. The first one is something a lot of photographers use, and I don't really like it. I had an affair with the Vignette Slider for a while, but really it's just not my cup of tea. I'm going to go ahead and throw one on here. The point of this is to draw your eye to the center of the image. But one of the first things you learn in photography is you don't center your subject. So to me, it's kind of counterproductive. It's not really the look I'm looking for. I'm going to dial it in here real dark just to make it pronounced. Not sure how things will show up after the YouTube algorithm. I would never really make it this dark, but for this tutorial, here we go. So we've got our vignette slider. Let's open up all the options. All right, we got vignette left, vignette right. And you can choose a midpoint, square in the middle, or come way out. We can choose our roundness. Really square, really round. And we can choose our feather. No feather at all, or feather at 100%, which if I was to use this, if my subject matter was right in the middle, I'd generally feather 100%. But that's it. That's all our options. So I'm going to go ahead and dial in the best vignette I can here. I'm going to make it a little more pronounced than I normally would just for this tutorial. And there we go. We put on a vignette. We've got before. And we've got after. I see a lot of people throwing these vignettes on every image. It's the last step in their post-processing. I used to do it, but there's a better way. I'm going to show you guys now. So let's come over here. And basically our subject matter is the Spanish Peak here and this rock formation. That's where we want the eye to go. So in a couple steps here, first thing I'm going to do is take on a linear gradient. I'm going to drop it up from the bottom. And I'm going to take our exposure down just to draw your eye up from the bottom of the image to the top. So again, I'm going to make it a little more pronounced than I normally would, just so you can see it for this tutorial's purposes. And now I've dropped the exposure, but one of the things I like about this is you have all these other options. You have access to all these sliders. Something I'd like to do is take the texture down a little bit. I'm normally -2, but I'm going to go -5 for this, and the clarity slider. So I took those both down -5, and that's just going to help draw your eye to the sharper points of the image. So that was the first step. We've drawn the eye up from the bottom of the image towards the mountains. Now I'm going to grab a radial filter, and I'm going to drag it out over my subject matter. I got it feathered at 100%. I'm going to increase the exposure. Normally I go just a hair. I'm going to take it a little bit further for this tutorial. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to take the texture. I'm going to bump it up this time. Same thing with the clarity. +5 on both. And then if you hover over the little blue dot there, you can see what you've affected, but right click on that, duplicate, offset it just a little bit so you can see your new layer. This time we're going to take the texture down, -5, clarity down, -5, The exposure, we're going to decrease it, and then we're going to invert. So now we've affected everything outside of that first selection. So now the mountain sharper, everything else is just a little bit fuzzier, not enough to really be noticeable, but enough to draw your eye to your subject matter. One last thing I might do here is take another gradient filter, drop it in from the top, darken that just a hair, and do, like I said, a little more pronounced for the tutorial. And I'm going to warm it up just a little bit, get some color contrast in the clouds. Hover over the dot. Now I want to bring that down some. And about like that. So we've darkened the top, we've darkened the bottom, we've highlighted our mountains and darkened the rest of the image just a little bit to make the center of that pop. So there we have after the selection. Here we have the vignette. And here we have the original image. So to me, this is a lot better than the vignette. Taking your time, thinking about what you're darkening, what you're brightening, really drawing the eye to the subject matter versus just throwing on a circular vignette that's only point is to draw your eye to the center of the image. All right, we got one more here I want to look at. It's a picture of an elk I took in Rocky Mountain National Park. 500mm zoom lens from my car. And he got pretty close. I was able to get in there and get some good detail. So here we have the full screen unvignetted image. Let's go here. We're going to throw on a simple vignette. And there we go. So without the vignette, and now with the vignette, and it does what it's supposed to do. It draws your eye right here to the center of the image. You're looking at a part of an antler and an ear, maybe a little bit of eye. I think we can do it a step better. We're going to grab a radial filter, drag it out in a nice oval, rotate it so it follows the diagonal line of our subject matter. Make sure it's not inverted. Take our exposure up. Again, I'm going to exaggerate it just for tutorial purposes. And take our texture up, clarity up. You can see the area we are affecting there. Now I'm going to duplicate, offset the duplicate just a little bit, invert, take our exposure down, take our texture down, and our clarity. I think I'm going to take the feather down a little bit as well. And there we go. We did a custom vignette job in a few clicks. And to me, that looks a lot better than just slapping on a simple vignette. And there's our original. Let me know what you guys think looks better, the custom vignette or just the simple vignette slider. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for hitting the like and subscribe button. Have a good day.